Welcome to Brewing Great Coffee at Home. I want to start by thanking the Algonquin College community for tuning in, that's you, and for the Algonquin College Student Services for supporting local small businesses like me. I'm Paul, and my business is Brew Bar Espresso Catering. You know what? Everyone can make great coffee. It really doesn't need to be complicated. It's all about four things. It's about choosing great coffee, storing it properly, grinding it fresh, and brewing it well. That's it. How to choose good coffee. The first thing I look for when I'm at the grocery store or coffee shop is, are they whole beans in the bag? Or is it pre-ground? You don't know when they ground it, how long it's been ground for. So one thing to know about coffee is that it gets old and rancid a lot faster once you've ground it. So I always look for whole beans. The second thing I look for is a roast date on the bag. Often you'll find it at the bottom of the bag or at the base of the bag. I've noticed that a lot of coffee bags have best before dates, so it's really tough to know when the coffee was roasted when you see a best before date, without knowing what the rules are for best before dates. The other thing I look for is, what do I like to taste in a coffee? I find it helpful with some coffee roasters have the tasting notes at the bottom of the bag. This one, for example, has rhubarb, blueberry pie, and others will have chocolate, cocoa, caramel. So you kind of get an indication of what the coffee is going to taste like by those tasting notes. And the other thing is, coffee shops, you have an added advantage because often you can taste before you buy. You get a good idea of what if the coffee is going to be something you like. When you get home, of course you can't do this at a grocery store, you might be able to do this at a coffee shop, but when you get home, you can see the quality of the coffee in the whole beans. Are there any cracks? Are there any fragments in it? And are they roasted fairly consistently? Just a few things if you want to go to that extreme. So how do you keep your coffee fresh? How do you store your coffee properly? Well, the enemies to fresh coffee are exposure to air, moisture, and heat. So when you're ready, when you're done with using your coffee, as soon as possible, force the air out of the bag, make sure it's totally sealed, and store it away in a cool, dark place, away from any source of heat. Now, I still hear people storing their coffee in their refrigerator or freezer. The problem with that is every time you open the bag, you're introducing the cool coffee beans, frozen coffee beans, to the moisture in the air. That stays in there and that will reduce the freshness of your coffee more quickly, especially if you're taking it out and putting it back in the fridge or freezer. And that's how you keep it fresh. So why is grinding fresh so important? Well, as I said earlier, storing your coffee in its whole bean form is the best way to keep your coffee fresh. And grinding fresh just before brewing is the single most important thing you can do to ensuring great tasting coffee. Now, if today you don't have a grinder, you can always go to the grocery store or the coffee shop and have them grind it for you. The next level up would be to get your hands on one of these blade grinders, which run about $20 to $30. One thing you want to be careful of is not to overgrind your coffee, because that'll introduce heat to the coffee grounds. And if it grinds it too fine, it might cause problems with depending on your brew method. The next level up are these hand grinders, which you can purchase for about $60 to $80. And this one's a stainless steel model that I like very much. It's very durable. It's also adjustable for the grind size, just by turning this knob. You can make it coarser or finer. And then the coffee grounds conveniently fall into this bottom receptacle so you don't get coffee everywhere. And it's portable. You can take it with you. Now after that, you could buy an electric plug-in grinder that range anywhere from $80 to thousands of dollars for the Ferrari of grinders, similar to the ones that I use at my espresso catering events. One of my favorite brew methods is the Aeropress. I've had it for about 5 years now, and it still works great. You can buy it for about under $50, and the things I like about it is its durability, its portability, and the fact that it uses a paper filter. The reason I like paper filters is that it filters out all the undesirable oils that have undesirable flavors in coffee, and also it stops the brewing process when you want it to. So that if you get fine grinds in your coffee, it's going to keep brewing and you'll get more bitter flavors that way. So let's get brewing. So with the Aeropress method, I like to keep it simple. In terms of boiling water, I like to boil to 80 degrees Celsius. Or if you don't have a temperature controlled kettle like I do, simply boil the water to completion and then let it sit for about 4 minutes. Again, what's great about this kit is it comes with a scoop. Don't have to weigh it. Just putting one scoop in. Grinding takes about a minute. Take a filter, about 100 filters come with the kit. Give it a tap to level it out. Now there's numbers on the side of the Aeropress, up the side. I like to fill it to just under the 2. But anywhere between the 1 and the 2 is fine. I found it's not very fussy. Take the paddle. It's designed so that you can stir it almost to the filter without touching it. The wings of the paddle keep it from touching the filter. You can give it a good 10 seconds. Take the plunger, fit it in, and I use my forearm. Just the weight of my forearm and shoulder is enough to press the coffee through the filter and into the cup. This cup I got from Hindenburg Pottery Shop, and I love it. And it's important to use a cup with a solid, wide base, otherwise it might tip over. Some people stop when you hear the hissing of the air passing through the vents. I like to go all the way. Easy to clean. Just pop out spent coffee puck and then rinse the tip underwater. And you don't even, the plunger seal kind of keeps it clean. That's it. Now I'll add hot water to taste, because right now it's a concentrated coffee. And I found that if you add just the right amount of water, you can get rid of, there's a tipping point where it's not bitter anymore. Anyway, that's great tasting coffee. That's it for now. Please watch for our next video on cold brew coffee and how to make drinks with it. Also, stay tuned on Algonquin College Student Services social media for more exciting events to come. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.